Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a really full coverage foundation routine for you all. I realized that I've never done a video just devoted to foundation, and lately my skin has been broken out pretty bad, like more so than normal, and I feel like that I found a foundation routine that really covers it, and not only covers like the pigmentation but also makes my skin look smoother. And I think that's really something that you kind of have to work with when you have acne, because covering the pigment can be easy, but smoothing out like the surface and making it all look smooth is a lot harder. So I think I've come up with a few tips and suggestions that you might want to try out. And also, all the products that I'm using today are from the drugstore, so they're inexpensive and you can just go out and pick them up and they're not going to break the bank, and they work really well. It's stuff that I use on a daily basis or that I've loved for a long time, so it's really good stuff. And I just wanted to mention, if you have acne, do not think that you are alone. And I feel like a lot of times people who do makeup, their skin is like flawless, and when I watch videos I'm thinking like, you don't even need foundation. But believe me, sometimes even if my skin looks really great, I do not have great skin. My skin definitely is very sensitive, and a lot of people will suggest like topical things to treat acne, but I've been to the doctor for my acne, and basically it's just hormonal. It's something from within my body, so nothing that I can put on my face is going to change that. It's not going to take it away. So the best thing that I can do to make myself feel more confident is to find really good ways to cover it up without using a ton of product. And this video might seem like I use a lot of products, but I try to use a small amount of those products just so that it doesn't feel really cakey. And for me, I am used to wearing a full face of makeup, but it doesn't feel heavy and it doesn't feel like makeup-y, if that makes sense. So I really like this routine. I think it covers really well, and it makes you look like your skin is really nice and you're having a nice skin day even if you're not. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope it's helpful for some of you, and let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay guys, so here's my bare face, and you'll see that I do have quite a few blemishes that I'm going to be covering up today, just to show you all exactly how full coverage you can get your foundation just from the drugstore. And I think that you don't have to use a full coverage foundation. On a normal day I wouldn't do this, but sometimes it is nice to have a perfected foundation. So first I'm going in with the Glamouflage concealer, and you'll see that I'm not taking very much. I don't want to make this very thick, but I'm just going to put that all over the areas that are the brightest and that need the most coverage, and I'm just going to tap it in. I'm not really trying to blend it out perfectly because we will be going over it with foundation, but I just want to cover those main areas first. Then I'm going to use the Revlon Color Stay Liquid Foundation for oily skin. This is my favorite foundation from the drugstore. It is an almost full coverage foundation, and it lasts a really long time, which is really important when covering up blemishes. I want my foundation to last as long as I want it to when I'm covering up things like that. So I'm just putting this all over my face, and then I'm going to blend it in with this brush, which is a flat top brush. And this is from my affordable brush review. It's very dense, and it's going to give you the most coverage from a brush. So I'm just going to take that, and I'm going to stipple the foundation all over those areas where we put the concealer. You don't want to buff it in because that's going to move that concealer around, and stippling it is going to give you the most coverage. So I'm just going to stipple that all over my cheeks and chin, and then you'll see that in some areas I do buff it in, like on the forehead and my nose, but those are areas where I don't require as much coverage. So just remember, if you're wanting more coverage, you want to use more of a patting motion, and if you want it to look a little bit more natural, you can use a buffing motion. So that's how I would normally leave it. That's perfectly fine for me, but we're going to go in and get a little bit more coverage and just show you all how I do that if I really want full coverage. So I'm going back in with that same concealer, but you're going to see that I really pinpoint this concealing. I don't want it to be all over my face. I'm just putting it right on top of the blemishes that are still peeking through a little bit and that still have some darkness. So I don't want to use very much of that, and I don't want to spread it all over my face. I'm just keeping it where I can see the pigment and what I need to cover up. So I'm just going to use a small amount of that to cover those blemishes, and then we'll blend it in with a brush. I'm going in with another brush from that Affordable Brush Review, which is like a smaller version of the foundation brush. And I like to use a smaller synthetic brush like this to cover acne that's kind of stubborn, because it's going to give you even fuller coverage than such a big foundation brush. And I really like to just pinpoint those spots instead of concealing like my whole cheek, because it's going to make it look a lot more natural and not feel as thick and heavy. So I just want to tap that in just like we did with the foundation. So there we have a very full coverage. You can't really see the pigment anymore, but these next couple of steps are going to help to smooth out the skin. So first I'm going to set it with a setting spray just to keep all of that in place. Then I'm going to go in with my Stay Matte translucent powder and an eyeshadow brush. This is the kind of eyeshadow brush I normally use for packing on a lot of color onto the lid. So I'm taking that into the powder, and I want to get quite a bit of that, and we're basically going to bake the concealer on these areas. And this is really going to help that concealer set, and it's not going to budge whatsoever. And also I think that it really makes a great difference in how smooth that the skin looks. By baking the under eye or any area on the face, you're putting a lot of powder basically, letting it set for a little bit, and then dusting it off. And that really helps to set whatever product you're setting, but it also just smooths out the skin. So by doing this, I think that it helps the texture problems and keeps the pigment covered. So I'm going to let that set for a little bit, and then I will go in with my foundation brush that I used and just go ahead and kind of pat right over that instead of dusting it off, because by dusting it off you're going to kind of move the product around, so you just want to really pat it in. And I think that this really looks so good. It makes it so much more full coverage, and just like I said, it's very smooth looking. Then I'll just go in and use that same powder and kind of set that whole portion of my face, just so that those places don't look powdery and the rest of it not look powdery. So I'm just going to set the rest of that really lightly. So that's how I get a really full coverage over the places where I'm breaking out. And then I thought I would throw in how I cover up dark circles just really quickly. I'm using this NYX Dark Circle Corrector, which is like a peachy salmon color. And I'm going to take that on a synthetic brush, and you'll watch that it really just camouflages that purpley look under my eyes so quickly. So I'm just patting that salmon peachy concealer underneath there and not worrying about blending it out too much just yet. And since that is a peachy color, you want to go in with a skin tone concealer. I'm using the Maybelline Master Conceal in Light, and this is one of my favorite under eye concealers. This is really going to highlight the under eyes, plus it will cover up that peach tone. So I'm just putting that right underneath both of my eyes in kind of an upside down triangle shape. Then I'll use a beauty sponge just to blend that in. Then to perfect the face even more, I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. High Definition Setting Powder and just bake that under eye area. Now this is not something I do for every day, not at all, but it's really going to make your face look so smooth, and it's going to brighten that under eye area. and I really just love the appearance. So I put a lot of that powder on. You're going to let it set for a little bit, and then you just go in and dust it off, and you'll see I got it all in my hair right there. But this is just leaving your face so smooth, and it just adds to the perfection of the foundation. So I went ahead and bronzed and contoured here, and then once I dust this off, I feel like you can see so much more dimension added to my face. And then that's it for my flawless foundation routine.
Okay, so that's it for my flawless acne coverage from the drugstore, and I just wanted to show you all up close kind of what it looks like with my rest of my face done. I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see that even after bronzer and stuff, the acne blemishes are still covered, and that's something that I struggle with. Even if I'm done with my foundation and it looks flawless, it seems like once I go in and contour and rub on it a little bit, then it kind of comes off and I can see my blemishes. But with this routine, even after bronzer and blush and highlight, it's still really flawless. I can't see any of the pigment, and I think it looks fairly smooth since what I'm working with. You all seen the before. Well, that's not the way I meant to do it. But you all seen the before, and I think it looks a lot better and really close to being a flawless finish. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope I see you in my next one. Bye.